Excuse me. That's gonna be a good blooper. That's gonna be, yeah, you let it out. You just let it out. On a serious note. Hello everyone, Kim here, and I didn't intend to make this video, but due to so many people hitting me up and asking me about how I felt about the situation, I thought that my words and thoughts would be better put into a video. That way my message could be sent out more powerfully. And what I'm talking about today is the Phil Anselmo controversy and racism in metal in general, and how do we hold our heroes accountable when they're at the center of such controversy. And this conversation is really long overdue, and it really needs to be had, and I want to have the conversation so that we can have more progress in the scene altogether. So one of the things I've noticed after reading so many articles and comment threads, and even some of the comments on Chris R's video, is that a lot of people did a great job by holding Phil Anselmo accountable and calling him out. We had Rob Flynn from Machine Head making a powerful video about his personal experiences with Phil and what he thought about racism in general and how it intertwines into the metal scene. And then we also had people like Tommy Vex from the Westville Massacre, and then we also had All Shall Perish. Even one of the members of Evanescence calls him out. And for me, I felt like I am so proud of my metal community, because I regard my metal community as my home. And me being an African American and having so many African Americans judge me for liking and enjoying metal and even being in the scene altogether, it feels so warm and welcoming to know that when things like this happen, I have a whole ton of support from the community, who I feel like is my second family. I think what we need to do is to get more people to understand why racism in metal is not okay. We need to have conversations about race in general so we could better understand everyone in society and how they feel. This is such a great time to have this conversation, because not only is it 2016 and it's sad that we have to have this conversation in 2016, I feel that there's such a racial climate and tension in this country altogether, and with people like Donald Trump running for president and saying the most outlandish things about people of color and people who are not like him. And it's just disgusting to see the attitudes towards certain groups of people in this country just coming alive and just rearing its ugly face, and it's disgusting. We need to learn how to respect each other all together, and this is something that we just need to do in order to progress as a community and as a people all together. One of the things I've noticed after reading all these comment threads is some of the people defending Phil Anselmo are missing the historical context behind white power and seg hailing. Sorry. White power was used as a term to establish dominance over other races. It was never derived as a term to be proud of yourself. We shouldn't even need to be proud of a circumstance that happened at birth, first of all. But this is where this term derived from, and what white power means to him means something different to me, because white power was segregated my people in public. White power meant lynching me or my people, my ancestors, slavery, Jim Crow. It just had so much blood behind it, and people will say, well, what's the difference between white power and black power? The difference between black power and white power is that the derivation of both terms are very different. Black power was developed as a term to celebrate overcoming oppression in this country. We overcame that. We made our movement, really made it better for everyone to live a more peaceful existence, a more fair existence. we had to fight out of being considered 3/5 of people in a constitution. And we have this really dark history that we don't really want to acknowledge at times, but this is our history and this is what came to be. And we need to really acknowledge that, and we need to really acknowledge the power of certain things. Meanwhile, white power just has a lot of blood on it, and it never really derived from being proud to be white. It was a way to establish superiority over another race. And that's why one is considered racist while the other is not. And you can agree to disagree, but those are the facts. Another thing is that we don't understand why steak howling is very offensive, because when you have that symbol attached to a horrific massacre, crime against humanity, 11 million people died during the Holocaust. Not even, I think 5 million of that were non-Jewish people, but just think about 11 million people being killed because of who they are. That is disgusting, and this symbol was used to establish what a certain ideology, and when you see that in public, it's not a good thing, and it bothers people, and we need to understand that. So the question on everyone's mind is, do you think Phil Anselmo is racist? In my opinion, absolutely. And it's not because of what he did on stage, it's because he has a history of making these tangents on stage. And before, when I saw those videos years ago, and I didn't think much of it, because what he did in those rants was change the context on the surface, but he was really promoting white supremacy underneath. So him doing these things attracted a lot of people, a lot of white supremacists to his shows. And according to many people that commented Chris R's video that had been to any of Phil Anselmo's shows, is that there was a large presence of white supremacists there. And you know, in any show where white supremacists attend, there it's going to be trouble, because they tend to go to shows and they start trouble on purpose. I've had friends who've had encounters with white supremacists at shows. My little brother was actually jumped by white supremacists at a show, and because of this situation, seeing Phil Anselmo do this, it just left a bad taste in his mouth. And he was a huge fan of Pantera, and now he can no longer support Pantera. But it's just, we have to be considerate of certain things. We have to be considerate of people when we attend shows. You have to be considerate of everyone. You just need to learn how to read certain people. And in my experience, I have dealt with racist people in the past. I've even had friends who had certain ideologies, and I had to eliminate them from my life. I had to cut them out of my life, because I don't want that type of person around me. I don't want to be associated with someone who thinks like that. And most of the time, racist people, they don't even know they're racist, to be quite honest. You have people who think that just because they have one black friend, they think that they're not racist. But when they open their mouths and they speak about certain groups in certain ways, it really shows itself. And some people are just inherently racist, and they don't know it yet. They just say things and that just make you question. And I think if Phil Anselmo never identified as racist, he's probably one of those type of racists, the worst type of racist. I've seen a lot of his defenders even using the same excuse, well, I can't be racist because I have one black friend. Let's keep in mind that not all black people think alike. We're not a monolith. We need to acknowledge the fact that even some black people have fucked up views about black people themselves. And case in point, we just need to stop thinking like that. Just because you have one black friend, or you work and associate with people of color, doesn't mean that you can't be racist or have fucked up views about certain groups of people. What bothered me even more with Phil was his excuses. He kept saying that he was drunk and this was a joke about white wine. First of all, I feel like the white wine excuse, that should have been insulting to anyone's intelligence. I'm like, you telling me that when you get drunk off of white wine, that is on the tip of your brain? That doesn't even make sense in any normal circumstance. It just doesn't. People need to think and stop accepting things blindly just because we like someone's music. It's just not good. It's not good enough. I just felt like his initial reaction, the comment he posted on Chris R's video, was his honest reaction. And this apology was very much prompted because of the backlash he received. And I felt like because he was given a pass so many times, that he felt the need to give this bullshit apology. And we just need to let people know that this is not acceptable. And great job for the metal community for letting people like Phil know that this is not acceptable anymore. This is like disgusting and deplorable, and we need to make the scene better for everyone. We need to make everyone feel welcome. The question is, can Phil Anselmo make amends for what he did? And I honestly don't believe he can. The damage is done. He already has a long history of doing this. He was never called out on it in the past, but now, because everyone's pretty much grown up and evolved, except for him, he really can't do any. I don't think there's anything he could do. Someone even suggested, Scott Ian actually, he suggested that Phil Anselmo donate to a Holocaust museum. He could do that, but at the end of the day, it's not about putting money where your mouth is. It's about the person changing themselves. And is he really going to change if he donates money? Once he donates money, the transaction is cleared. Is he still gonna like think the same way? Is that gonna change how he thinks? No. It's doing things like that is like accepting hush money. This pretty much reminds me of that situation, hashtag my name is Kaden, where a white employee was fired from his job because he took a picture with his co-worker's black son, uploaded it to his Facebook profile, and all of his friends made these racist comments about him. The guy himself even called the child a slave and referred to him as feral. But then when the backlash happened, he was trying to claim victim status. He was trying to say that he was the one being victimized and that it was just a joke. And then what happened was, when his employers found out about what he did, he tried all possible means to save his job, and he issued an apology. But if he was really sorry, he would have did it the first time. And this is basically the same thing with Phil. Phil isn't really sorry. His apology is just complete bullshit, and I can't believe anyone with a brain didn't think it was bullshit. I'm sorry. You just have to learn how racist people operate. They're not sorry for their actions. They're not sorry for the way they think. They're not going to change the way they think. Just when their job comes into play, they're going to say certain things just to save their job or save their brand. Another point people brought up was freedom of speech. Phil Anselmo has the right to seek out and yell white power in public. Yes, he does have the right to do that, but he doesn't have the right to be protected from the consequences of those actions. People need to realize that there's a difference between freedom of speech and there's hate speech. Hate speech is not permitted in all public forums. Think of any public forum where you're allowed to be racist or anti-Semitic in any way, shape, or form. You can't think of one. You can't name one. It's not allowed. So why should it be allowed at metal concerts? Bottom line is, when it comes to racism in metal, we should just have zero tolerance. It's not acceptable in any other public platform, so why should it be accepted in metal venues and metal shows? It's not right. This isn't the first time a metal band has been called out for racism. Even a few months ago, there's a metal band called Disma. They're from New Jersey, and they're a very popular death metal band. And what happened was, they were invited to play on a California Death Fest and the Netherlands Death Fest. And what happened was that they ended up being kicked off of both because their vocalist did an interview with the website and he made some anti-Semitic comments. And after this interview surfaced, 10 bands on the Netherlands Death Fest threatened to drop off the bill if this band was allowed to play. And after the backlash, they were eventually dropped off, and people were so upset about what happened. People were so upset that this band was being quote-unquote censored. And many people wanted to call out the bands for taking this stand, which I thought was courageous, and I felt like it's about time. The question is, where should we draw the line between accountability and censorship? Why is it that people are calling out bands or anyone else for condemning racism when racism wouldn't be accepted in any other social circumstance? Why is it because we like someone's music that we feel the need to give them a pass for deplorable behavior? Bottom line is that your dignity should be worth more than someone's art, and we need to keep that in mind. No one's music should be worth more than your dignity. Another question we should ask ourselves is, can we truly separate the artist from the art? And let me put it this way. When you're going to the shows, you're buying the tickets, you're supporting a merch table and buying the music, where does that support ultimately go? You got to think about that. It goes to the artist. There is no definite way to separate art from the artist. It intertwines. You're still giving monetary support to this person. You're still giving them a platform to be heard and allow them to do things like Phil Anselmo did if they're doing it. So for me, no, you can't separate the artist from the art, because why would I give my money and line the pockets of someone who thinks I'm subhuman? Another excuse I've heard people use is that we as metalheads, we listen to music that depicts a lot of violence, and how is that any different from racism? Well, my answer to that is, how prevalent is the violence depicted in death metal compared to racism? My answer to that is, how often do you hear anything depicted in metal lyrics happening in real life as compared to someone hearing anti-Semitic words or other racial slurs? The fact is that someone is bound to experience racism every day without even wanting it. It's just something that happens. That's incomparable to lyrics that depict violence. Even though murder is a real thing, murder does happen, but how often does a flesh hook sodomy happen? It doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen at all. The lyrics in metal are meant to express imagery and not something to be brought into reality. Whereas racism is just something that's so unwarranted and it happens every day. So the two can't be compared. Another concern was brought up by the people of color who listen to metal and feel like they're going to be met with this type of racism and ignorance in the metal community, and this in turn deters them from even going to shows. What I want to say to them is, don't ever feel alienated from going to shows. From my personal experience, being that I live in New York City and it's such a melting pot, when I first started to go to shows, I had that same fear. I'm not even gonna lie. I attended my first show with my sister and she came with me, and it was an experience because we just ended up having fun. Even though my twin, she doesn't listen to metal at all, but she came with me. We just had fun and we met a few people, and then when I started going to more local shows, I saw more people like myself who enjoyed the same things, and we just built a bond, and I built a bond with people from all different walks of life. Like, a lot of people who don't listen to metal and know me assume that I just have only white friends, and that's unfortunate, but if they came to the show themselves, they would see more people like themselves, more people from the same circumstances. Like, when I go to shows, there's a lot of people who grew up in the hood, and I grew up in the hood. We just have this bond because we listen to this extreme type of music and we can connect to it and we love it. It is such a beautiful thing to see more people like yourself, and we know that representation is important. Unfortunately, some people don't have the benefit of seeing people like themselves in the scene, and they're probably one of themselves, if that makes sense. I just really hope that we as a community help other people feel welcome. We should just aim to please and just go to shows and just have fun and listen to music and have beers and have fun, smoke a little weed. You do that. It's just the metal bond is just a bond that's stronger than anything else sometimes, because we are a world of outsiders and we love this weird shit. if that makes sense. We love this weird music and we like really into these weird things, and you know, when you have someone who's just like you find that companionship is just very unique. Someone who just accepts you for being you and accepts you for being different. If you do encounter some ignorance at a show, you don't have to, you could just speak your piece respectfully, or you could just ignore it altogether and just avoid that person. The bottom line is to fight with your words and not with your fists. There is no reason why you should be banned from a venue and miss out on the experience of seeing amazing bands because of someone's ignorance. If you need to, you can state your mind peacefully and respectfully, but in any worst case, just walk away. That person shouldn't be a waste of your time. You should just spend your time enjoying yourself at this show. You shouldn't let anyone negative ruin your mood. Just try to approach the situation delicately or ignore it. If someone tries to confront you and tries to do anything wrong or try to be racist towards you in any event, you have the right to state your opinion. But if they don't like what you have to say, then just tell them to fuck off. You have the right to walk away. There's no reason why you should be banned from a venue because someone else is ignorant. Always remember to fight with your words and not with your fists. Be sure to check out my other videos. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And be sure to stay posted to my channel because I will be releasing a lot more content and you guys are going to be really thrilled with what we have in store for you. And with that said, keep it metal, rock on. Stop yelling! Hold on, let me tell them stop yelling. Stop yelling! Like, can't, okay, keep it, okay. Okay. Remember to like.
Get it out, get it out, get it out.